Well, the Egg Bowl on Black Friday, yeah, that's actually happening. It's felt like a Thanksgiving staple, especially recently, right up there with stuffing and family arguments. But now fans are calling it a mistake, even disrespectful to tradition. But the thing is, I don't think they're seeing the full picture. Stick around, because they might not be the downgrade everyone thinks it is.
You are Locked On Mississippi State, your daily podcast on the Mississippi State Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Go to FanDuel.com. I'm Jaron Spor. I'm a national college football writer at Athlon Sports. That's Landon McBride. We got a packed show for you today. The date for the Egg Bowl has been announced, and that's causing some controversy among the fan base. We also have some baseball projections. Is Mississippi State going to be a tournament team? We'll talk about that. And the softball team, they found out what regional they'll be headed to, and they found out their seed as well. And so we will talk about that to wrap up the show as that begins later on this week. Yes. Well, let's first start with the Egg Bowl. It has been announced that it will be an 11 a.m. kick Central Time. That will be on Black Friday and not Thanksgiving. Just kind of the history real quick. It's been played on Thanksgiving 23 times. It was, took a long hiatus. It was kind of a staple years ago. Then took a long hiatus. Then 98 to 2003 it was played. Then in 2013. And then from 2017 to 2023 it was played. But last year it wasn't played on Thanksgiving. And then this upcoming season it will not be.
Yeah, it's weird that it's not going to be there, but with how everything is changing in NCAA sports right now, with the crazy conference realignment, everything's driven by money and getting eyes on your product. It's not that surprising. I mean, we've seen with how they've dissolved so many rivalries just from swapping conferences and moving things, that changing a date is not surprising to me at all at this point.
Yeah. I tweeted as it should be when they said it's going to be on Black Friday. And I saw a lot of tweets, not responding to us, just a lot of tweets of people very upset that it's not on Thanksgiving Day of this upcoming season. And now it's on Black Friday. And listen, if you want to complain about it being at 11 a.m., I get it. I'm one of those weird people that I love 11 a.m. kicks. I know I'm in the minority. I will not argue with people on that. If they say they don't like it, I understand it. So if your argument is it's 11 a.m., I get it. The argument for it being upset that it's on Black Friday, that I don't get. And this is why. Yeah. I just need teams, or, not just teams, but I also like the NCAA, NBA, all these other sports to realize, stop competing with the NFL. You're not going to beat the NFL. And people and fans will say, well, who cares? I don't care. I'm watching Mississippi State. I'm not caring about the NFL. Recruits care. Mm-hmm. New fans of your team care, because when you are competing against the NFL, you're not getting as many viewers, which that's recruits. That's, like I said, maybe someone's just now starting to watch football. They want to see, and then they see Mississippi State on TV. They become a fan of Mississippi State, whatever. It affects donors. It just affects so many things when you're the game on TV. But if you're competing against the NFL, you will not get that. Recruits will not be watching you. They're going to be watching the NFL, and that's not what you want. Again, fans can say, well, I don't care about all that.
You do.
The recruits care. I mean, you do care when your program goes out and goes 2-10 again. You will care then, because you're not getting the fanfare. In this new era, it just matters. It has all that you have to take into account. And I thought it was a brilliant move, because we've seen this really the last. They've always had Black Friday games, so I don't want to say it's like a new thing, but it feels like it's a newer thing where they're putting more premier primetime games on Black Friday and taking them off of Thanksgiving Day. And I think it's a brilliant move, because you're not going to get NFL games. I think there was maybe one last year, but really, you don't get any on Black Friday. And so that is your day, and people are mostly still off work, and so they're able to watch football all day.
Yeah. And I'm also pro 11 a.m. kickoff. So this is a very pro 11 a.m. podcast. And you mentioned it was like 23 times this has been played on Thanksgiving Day, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Out of 91 games all time.
Yeah. Right.
This is not some tradition that's been going on since 1900s. Right. It's a relatively new thing. And I get wanting to keep it there. I do. But like you're not going to beat NFL. Own the next day. And you also mentioned with more viewers comes more money. More money then goes to your school, like for the advertisers. So the downside is, yes, you lose something that is seen as a tradition, even though it's a relatively new tradition that doesn't have a lot of long-term, like deep roots that you would expect this kind of like uproar about. When I saw the reaction in my head, I was like, man, those ones that weren't on Thanksgiving must have been anomalies. And this goes way back. Like, no, it's not.
Yeah. The only thing that you could push back is in the last 27 years. So since 1998 or 26 years, whatever, it's been 14 times it's been on Thanksgiving. So it's become more of a newer thing. And so maybe the people that are getting into it now, they're like, man, but even then it's just over half the time. And it's kind of in spurts. First time it was 6 years. Then it was a one kind of off year, 2013 by itself. Then it was another, 7 years in a row. And then it's been off again. So it's not been like a consistent all the way through. Right. It's kind of on again, off again kind of thing. But the 11 a.m. kick, I've always been someone, and I'm not a player, but I mean, you ask a lot of players and they're like, hey, I'm ready to get the game over with. Like, I want to play. Like, I hate sitting in the hotel room all day, amped up for this game. And I'm the same way in terms of when I'm watching football. I want to watch my favorite teams right off the bat because I don't like sitting there all day antsy. I'm watching all these upsets or something. I'm like, oh, great. Is my team going to get upset? Or is my team going to be the one that upsets? I don't like doing that. I'm also a college football fanatic in terms of I don't like my attention being divided. And at night, there's so many big-time games that obviously I'm going to have Mississippi State Ole Miss on the television, but I don't want to watch, and I don't know what all the games are on, but I don't want Texas and Texas A&M also being on. I don't want Georgia and LSU on also at the same time. Like, I don't want to have to like, oh, man, I want to watch all these games at once kind of thing. So I do like that. And I also like just kind of knowing your result early. Is it going to be a rough rest of my day or is it going to be a good rest of my day?
Yeah, you can move on from it or spend the rest of the day celebrating.
Right.
And my least favorite kickoff is 2:30. I hate the 2:30 kickoff. Give me a night game over that, though. But that 2:30 kickoff, it's awkward. It's weird.
Yeah.
You then have to plan your day around it in a way you don't with 11 or the night kickoffs. So I can understand, again, you wake up, start your day however you want to start your day. When you have a football game on 11 a.m., you can do whatever you want to do. And that's a great way to start a day, especially a Black Friday, in my opinion.
Right. And I hate the 2:32 because if you're going to the game, you're going to miss the end of the 11 o'clock games. And then you're going to miss the start of the night games. And I hate that. I hate the 2:30 kick. It's the worst. The 11 o'clock, I'm a morning person. So again, I'm in the minority. There's a lot of people that are like, man, I'm still sleeping at 11 o'clock, especially on a holiday. Like, I don't want to get up. I get all that. I also get the people that tailgate and they pregame, and it's like, I don't want to be pregaming at 8 a.m. Like, again, I understand all that. But me as a football fanatic, I love 11 a.m. kicks just because usually sometimes they'll have big, like OU Texas, for example, is always a big one that's at 11. But ironically, it was at like, I think 2:30 this past year. But usually that one's at 11. But there's really not usually a lot of big marquee games at 11. So you don't have to divide your focus. It can just be straight missing. You might have a game on in the background that you kind of will look up at every now and then. But it's not one you have to like focus on. Right. So I've always liked the 11 a.m. But yeah, like you mentioned, I just, it's not like a long-term tradition, one. And two, you got to stop competing against the NFL. And these are just things you have to take into account when you're scheduling this. Do we want to compete against the NFL where it's going to take the majority of our viewership? And that's what was going to happen. And when you go against the NFL, you also have to think about the amount of revenue you're losing from a advertising standpoint. Exactly. If someone knows their ad is going to be running counter to NFL programming, they're not giving you as much money. Right.
And they don't give you as much money. ESPN doesn't give you as much money the next time you renegotiate your contract. So I think there's a lot more positives, and I get being annoyed with it, but there's way more positives. People aren't looking at the big picture. They're annoyed with the switching up of this tradition, but I think long-term it's going to be very beneficial.
Well, and another thing is a lot of the college football teams, college football conferences, ESPN, all these, they have same kind of advertisers as the NFL does. And so if you're competing against the NFL, they might be like, I don't want to be on your TV. I want the NFL game. I don't want that game. So you have to take all that into account. And again, if you're annoyed by the 11 a.m. kick, get it. But I wouldn't be annoyed by the Black Friday game. That's right. I think that's a very smart decision for them to go with that route. So, right. Well, coming up next, we got the D1 baseball release their projections. Is Mississippi State in the field? We think they possibly could be with the hot streak they're on right now. We'll talk about that coming up next. Well, the NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. So, when your favorite players are showing up in the biggest moments, and how could tracking their trends help you build your next bet? That's stuff you got to figure out. Like if they're on a hot streak, we talked about this in the playoffs with the Rockets. Fred VanVleet was on a hot streak from 3. Maybe you bet the over on the 3. Or maybe you think he's about to cool off and you bet the under on that. Also, how could a $200 bonus in bets add to the excitement if your $5 bet hits? It can be any bet. You can put an easy bet like, hey, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to score 2 points. You can put that on there. Put $5 on it, and guess what? You're going to get $200 in bonus bets. You'll definitely want to check that out. If you are new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, let's check out D1 Baseball. They have projections that they put out pretty much weekly, and I do want to preface, this one is from May 6th, and if you kind of go by the trend, the newest one will come out at some point today. And, by the time you're listening to this, it might already be out, and what we talk about is old news.
Don't tell us we're wrong, because we know.
Yes. So that's why we're putting it out there. We understand. But I still want to talk about it because I thought this was very interesting. We talked about after the Ole Miss series and winning 2 out of 3. We thought, okay, maybe this is now a regional team. Like they're probably in at this point, but we're not for sure. Well, according to D1 Baseball, they were already in. They were actually the 3 seed in the Tallahassee region. Florida State was the 1 seed in that region, then Troy, then Mississippi State, then Bethune-Cookman. When I saw that, I was like, you feel like that's almost it. They're in with the Ole Miss series. And I would expect them to be solidified as a 3, which being a 3 in the overall number 3 seed pretty much solidifies you in. But they might even be as high as a 2. I doubt it. I think they're probably still a 3, but still, I mean, that's incredible.
I expected them to be a 3 seed when all was said and done. So to see them, kind of locked in there before the Ole Miss series, that's very good. Now, barring a collapse, if they end up getting swept by Mizzou, that's a whole different story. But I think if you take care of business this last week of the year, and if you do have a good showing in the in the SEC tournament, win a couple games, get a little bit farther than you're projected to, maybe you do squeak in as one of like those lower 2 seeds. But I think a 3 seed is probably what we're looking at. And that's not a terrible, and again, just a projection, not a terrible region to be in.
Yeah, I'm with you because I kind of felt like if they got in, they would probably be a 3 seed. And I think they probably still will be a 3 seed. But with them being a 3 already, it's kind of like, okay.
Is there a chance?
Yeah, I mean, is there an outside chance? Again, I just don't see it. Even if they sweep Missouri, that's not going to give them much points.
No.
Missouri's terrible this year. Really, this series can only hurt you. It can't really help you. It would help you, I guess, if you just continue to win because you can't go backwards
if
if you
you
win.
run rule every game, maybe that helps.
Yeah. But it's just one of those things that it's like, I didn't expect them to be in heading into the Ole Miss series. And so for them, and that's one reason why we haven't really talked about the projections, is it was like, there's no way they're in, right? And then, no, yeah, they were in.
Yeah, I kind of expect them to be on the bubble, and like D1 does the last 4 in or first 4 out. I kind of expected them to be in that area, like right on the bubble, and a good showing in Ole Miss gets them in. But apparently they were pretty solidly in before that. So now it's how, like, have we been, I mean, obviously up to Mississippi State standards, this team is not very good, but are we so used to that higher standard that we're not seeing how good this team really is?
Yeah, no, that's spot on. And there's, I do want to also preface, there's a bunch of other projected sites. It's not just D1 baseball.
This is the only one that matters. No.
Yeah, right. They're the ones that most people kind of go off. Field of 64 is another one that does pretty good work. And I believe they actually put theirs out on Monday. Yeah, they put theirs out on Monday, and they had them as Mississippi State as a 3 seed in the Chapel Hill Regional. North Carolina was the 1, Arizona 2, Mississippi State 3, and Kent State 4. And so
that's a rough regional. That
is a very rough regional. And so that is just another one, another put on a feather in your cap that those are to the 2 biggest ones. And so if you're in the projections on those 2, you got a great shot. I mean, you got a great shot.
Yeah, I think we're in the range of take business against Mizzou. You're definitely in. Make some noise in the SEC tournament. Maybe you get to the quarterfinal. You do that, upset a couple people. Maybe you squeak into it too. You win the SEC tournament, I'd say you definitely are too.
Right.
Because, I mean, you've probably upset, the top 4 seeds if you do that. So, I mean.
I want to say the projection, like 7 of the top 8 were SEC schools. Something like that.
Yeah,
something crazy like that.
If you make a run, you've got a lot of upsets that you can point to as a reason to bump you up. So, but in the end, I'd say they probably hit up a 3 seed, and you hope you get in a good region.
Which, I mean, the 3 seed, again, when you think of Mississippi program overall, not great. And we know it's not a great season, but from where you were to firing your coach midseason to still get in the tournament because of this hot streak you've had as of late, I mean, it's impressive what they've done. And you never know. Baseball is one of those weird sports that just a streaky team can get hot at the right time and just take – and we've seen it. We've seen stuff like that happen. I hate bringing up this team, but I think it was Ole Miss when they won the World Series that they were kind of a team that not many people – and I can't remember if it was Ole Miss that year that did it, but I believe they were one of the teams that were kind of like not sure if they're going to get in, and then they end up going all the way and winning the whole thing. I can't remember if that was Ole Miss's year or if it was another year, but regardless, we see teams just kind of get hot at the right time and go all the way through, and the next thing you know, they're in the World Series. Not saying Mississippi State's going to do that. I'm just saying you could get hot.
Yeah, I mean, you can, and you see it all the time baseball is the biggest one, both in college and pros. I mean, every year a wild card team goes on a run, is either in the World Series, almost makes the World Series, and everyone says, oh, we need to change the playoff format because the 2 best teams aren't in the World Series. But same kind of stuff happens. I mean, not as often in college baseball, but it's probably like every other year, every 3 years, you see a team go on just a crazy run. What was it? Chaminade, like 10 years ago or whatever, that went on the run. Fresno State that one year. I mean, they had a good team, but those like 2 years where they were very, very good, making the deep runs. So, I mean, you do see those teams just pop up left and right. And if Pico gets going and the rest of the pitching staff keeps pitching like they have over these last few weekends, that's the recipe to go on a run.
Yeah, and it was Ole Miss that year. They were the 3 seed in the regional. Miami was the host of the regional. They were the 3 seed. Arizona was in that regional. And Canisius, I've never even heard of that school. They were also in that regional. But Ole Miss ended up getting hot, going all the way through, and ended up winning a national championship. Again, not saying that's what's going to happen with Mississippi State, but they could get to a super regional. We've talked about that. We thought their ceiling talent-wise was a super regional team. They just kept beating themselves so often that it was like, dang, is this team even going to make the tournament?
Well, hey, if they kept playing like they were with the bullpen blowing all of those leads and the errors and the more errors and all that. And Coastal Carolina is the team I'm thinking of, not Chaminade. Don't know why I thought Chaminade, but
close enough. Starts with a C.
Hey, there's a C, and they're on the coast, But no, they've corrected a lot of those errors that we saw plague this team over a long time. And if they keep playing clean, they keep pitching, and they get enough offense, because they have some guys who can really hit, but they're all kind of streaky. This team can be dangerous, and you just hope you get in a regional where you're not in with one of the true juggernauts right away.
Right. All right, so coming up next, softball found out what regional they are headed to, and I think they got a very good chance. I'll explain why. That's coming up.
Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. Surprising insights. When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much money I was spending on food delivery, and now I budget smarter and save more. All in one convenience. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Easy collaboration. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year.
Well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, so the softball team, they found out what regional they will be headed to. They are headed to the Lubbock Regional. That's obviously hosted by Texas Tech, who is the Big 12 regular season and tournament champions. Tech is the 1 seed. Brown is the 4 seed. Washington is the 2 seed. And Mississippi State got the 3 seed. So kind of what was your thoughts early on in that?
Being in a regional with the best pitcher in softball, that's a rough one.
Yep.
But overall, not the worst draw. Obviously Brown, very beatable. I do think Washington is very beatable, which hats off to them for being a 2 seed after losing their ace to the transfer portal this past offseason. Yeah. So, I think it's winnable, but you got a tough draw with the ace.
Yeah, the reason why I really like this draw from them is obviously Kennedy and Texas Tech. That's brutal. There's no sugarcoating. There's no sugarcoating that part. But Washington being the 2 seed in it was why I thought it was very interesting, because they are struggling. Yes. I believe, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And their last 13 games, they're 5-8. Washington is. They are not playing good softball right now.
Limping in that. They're limping.
Yes. And that includes an early exit from the Big Ten tournament. They lost to Indiana right off the bat in their first game, which was back on Wednesday. Kind of similar to, Mississippi State was actually playing good softball, but they ran into LSU and lost right off the bat. So it's not the same in terms of who's playing good and who's not. But it is the same in terms of they got beat right off the bat. And Indiana wasn't a great team this year either. They were 33-18, so not a bad team, but they were 10-12 in conference play. I think they were a 2 seed. I believe it was in the Fayetteville Regional is where they're at. So still, it's just I think when you look at the regional as a whole, obviously whoever is hosting the regional is going to be pretty good. I mean, that's why they're hosting. That's why they're hosting. Obviously, they're good. But when I try to focus on, what about the other teams in the regional? How good are they? Because if you can get past them, if you get yourself in the championship, you gave yourself a chance. And that's all you could ask for. And that's what I think Mississippi State can do. Because my best guess is Kennedy will not pitch every game. Now, we saw her do that at Stanford, so maybe she would. But if she does, maybe you get her tired out a little bit. That's why I thought maybe you could get in there and win a regional. So I think it's not obviously not a great draw because Kennedy's in it, but it's not the worst draw you could have gotten.
Yeah, that's really right. You have to hope you either get the one game she doesn't pitch, or you get her a little tired and she makes a couple mistakes and you capitalize on them. Because if she's on, I'd say I don't think there's a way you're beating Texas Tech when she's on. I mean,
no,
like other teams like the, OU, Texas, some of those teams probably could still compete when she's on. But if you're not one of the elite teams, you're not going to compete with Texas Tech when Kennedy is dealing. But if you can get her either tired, a little off, or just get lucky and that's the day she takes a rest, you got to jump and you got to make it count.
Yeah. And I want to go on a mini rant because I don't know if you got to watch the selection show. I am so tired of the NCAA putting the same teams almost in the same regional every year.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is Boston University has been in the Norman regional for at least 2 straight years. Like, seriously. And I don't know if you saw it, but as soon as they announced them, they would show the team's reaction. They immediately all did this as soon as they saw that they were in the Norman regional. And it's because they know they're not getting out of that regional. And now, granted, they know they're probably not getting out of any regional they go to, but they know they got a better shot than beating the 4-time defending champions in Norman. And so it's just deflating for a team. I believe they've won their conference the last 2 years. And your prize is you go to Norman both times.
Hey, they got the tape on them. This is the year.
Yeah, right. And the funny thing, it wasn't just them. Every single team that was in the Norman regional and they showed their reaction, none of them cheered.
Well, no one wants to be there. It's just
right. But it's like I understand if it was Tulsa and it's just a quick drive. So let's
pair it. Team from Boston all the way down to Norman, Oklahoma.
Yes.
It's a long flight to get destroyed, and that's just mean to do that to someone more than once.
Right. And who's to say they might not only play Oklahoma once, they might not ever advance that far period. Like, I get that, but it's just I don't know. I just feel bad for those athletes that they had this great season, 2 straight great seasons. Yeah. And it's like, hey, congrats. This is where you're going.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. You got to mix it up some too, just from a standpoint of watchability. Right. Like, we don't want to see the same matchups every year.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously they're the 4 seed, so they'll play Oklahoma right off the bat in the first one, and they might not play them again after that. But still, it just kind of sucks for them. But all right, so that will do it for this episode. So thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the Portal Show. Brian Smith has the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. Be the most informed fan on the rapid changes to college football landscape. Find the Portal on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. I'm Jaron. Check out my work over on Athlon Sports. A lot of college football, some college basketball, and some NBA. That's Landon McBride. Follow us, Locked On Mississippi State. We're on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. We post daily videos Monday through Friday, so check those out. We also post a question on every single YouTube video, so comment on that. Y'all have been doing great on that. We've loved the feedback. We love interacting with you guys. We also post a poll. It's a different question, and we love to see your interaction on that as well. If you're interested about what's coming up with Mississippi State in terms of the portal in both football and men's basketball, tune in tomorrow because we're having a full episode on both of those because a new offer has gone out for football. They kind of have an idea of who the last spot will be for basketball, but they're kind of in the wait-and-see mode. He's kind of taking his time. So we'll talk about all of that. That'll be tomorrow. So don't miss that. And until next time, Hail State.
Hail State.